Good evening, and welcome to the Wednesday, July 10th, 2019 meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board. Let the record reflect we have a full board present tonight. There was a short working session prior, which no formal decisions were made. Let's please stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on the agenda tonight is approval of the minutes from the June 5th meeting. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion we approve the minutes for June 5th.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Jim to approve the June 5th minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Thank you. Item 4, or second item here tonight, I guess, is the Hach WIMS IT network for water departments. Someone very familiar with the podium's up first tonight, Ryan Ottinger.
It's been a while since I've got to see everyone, so it's good to see everybody back, and can't go through a board meeting without me having a PowerPoint, so I'll get to it. I do have with me from Hach, they will be doing some of the presentation and the technical aspects. Austin Collins, who is our regional sales representative. Austin is just in the municipal aspect, so he understands some of the issues and the unique problems data gathering that municipalities can have. And then Jim Carl is 25 years in the business, and he is the applications development manager. So they'll be up here in just a few minutes to speak about Hach WIMS. Hach WIMS is a unique process that allows us to put all of our log sheets, and this is for water and wastewater, and it will work and enhance our SCADA systems that we have installed in the water treatment plants, and with our upgrades at the wastewater plant, we'll be installing there. It also will help gather data in the field for anyone that's doing any sampling, or when we do our hydrant flushing, or if we have issues on a main break or something like that, we can also capture that data in real time instead of writing it down on a notebook, which we do now on a clipboard, bringing it back to the shop. Hope we can remember it out of the vehicle and typing it in there. So there are multiple applications that Hach WIMS will provide us. Like I said, it does sync SCADA with the WIMS, so they will work together and enhance it. I did check with our SCADA provider to make sure that this wasn't a competition to them, a competitor to them, and something that they could do. And they said that the intricacies of this is not an option for SCADA. This is much more in depth and much more detailed than the SCADA that we have and the SCADA that we will be getting for the wastewater treatment plant. It also ensures the accuracy of our data. When you're dealing with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management and the Environmental Protection Agency, that accuracy is important. It also is important when we have our yearly inspections to make sure all of our paperwork's in order. Another aspect of this is gathering data for a workforce that the industry standard in Indiana for the wastewater treatment plant is in the high 60% of employees will retire within the next decade. And that's a huge concern because those are very valuable and knowledgeable employees that they have a lot of information stored in their brains that we've got to capture. And this is going to allow us to capture it in a much more compact manner, a much easier manner for us to translate and to put into data-given graphs and information, as opposed to an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document to where we got to try to find it and hope that we still have it. So I'm going to let them speak on that. Is there any questions that I can answer before I call those gentlemen up?
I've got one, Ryan, if I may. And we talked a little bit about this before. Our policy is to typically receive competitive quotes or bids when we're purchasing something like this. I heard a little bit about this being unique. Can you speak to that issue a little bit? And I did not see other quotes for similar products in the board packet. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, this is such a specialized product. I did reach out to other companies that we do business with, other wastewater treatment plants, and the ones I reached out to have Hach WIMS, Citizens Water, who I have a relationship with them, and wastewater all use Hach WIMS. Evansville's getting it, so it's a lot of larger communities. Kendallville, who's very similar to our size wastewater plant, uses it. I checked, I did check with our SCADA, Toric Engineering from Danville, who is in charge of all of our SCADA. I checked with them just to make sure, hey, is there something else out there that I can, because I do want to follow, all the rules and regulations, and there's just nothing else. This is such a unique product. We have such a long history with Hach, with all of our equipment, with all of our lab materials, that this is a seamless transition. We're fortunate that Ed, our general manager, has used this before also, where he's come from. So he was very knowledgeable on it and spoke very highly of it in the facilities he was in. But I could not find any reputable competition to give us anything that would resemble what we would be getting from Hach WIMS.
Yeah, I guess I can add on to that we've used Hach WIMS every other place I've worked. It's Windows software is what you put on a PC, and Hach WIMS is what you use for water and wastewater. There's really not a lot of competition out there that I'm aware of. So.
Okay, they have a quick PowerPoint. I told them just to kind of go through the highlights, and then any technical questions we can delve into it as deep as you'd like, but we all have things to do this evening, so we don't want to be here for 2 or 3 hours. So I'll let Austin come on up here, and he can kind of go through it, and then afterwards, any questions anybody might have, or during, please feel free to ask any of us.
Good evening. My name's Austin Collins. My role within Hach is Regional Sales Manager, specific to municipal utilities across the state of Indiana. I live north of Indianapolis, so not too far of a drive from here, and I'm with Lebanon quite a bit anytime Tony or Ryan calls. So I put together a little PowerPoint presentation to explain the benefits of data aggregation in one centralized spot and what the power of that data can do for Lebanon. So you can see kind of an overview of what the municipal industry is experiencing, not only in Indiana but across the country. And the last one, which is the most prevalent, is a retiring workforce in the next 5 to 10 years. And what are you going to do with all that knowledge that's lost? Folks are being asked to do more with less. So all we're trying to do with the Hach WIMS software is create a bridge to make it easier for that retirement and be able to utilize data in a more impactful way for optimization or cost-saving initiatives. So I'll skip a little bit to a couple pages here. But the overview of the software is it helps reduce a ton of labor. So there was a scenario that Ed brought up earlier about how long it takes to gather historical data. Once the software is implemented with that historical data, it literally is a click of a mouse button. You can find historical data in seconds. So if engineers outside of Lebanon want historical information for the last 5 years on flow, literally a click of a button, you can have that. So basically, the software now acts like a detective and can really start to hone in on your process, look at areas where you may have issues. It's got built-in compliance protocols in place for QA/QC. It's also widely accepted across the industry, and it is specific to water and wastewater only. So you can see it gives you the ability to have audit trails. So it tells you who logged in, when and where, who approved the data. It's all user-defined, so you as Lebanon would be able to choose your min-max values per cell. So it gives you the confidence in that information. And then there's some case studies we can get into, but I won't read that. This is United Water, just trying to create a centralized data management program. United Water is now Suez. And basically it's just to eliminate there's a wall in between a lab to a process, and eliminating those walls so you all have all the information in one house to make better decisions faster. It gives you the ability to look at field and lab and process data all in one click of a button. So we're trying to give you all the data in one spot so you can make better decisions from an operations standpoint, historical standpoint, a design, et cetera. Again, here's some case studies with Littleton, Edgewood, Colorado area where Hach is based, in Loveland. And you can see they were able to reduce compliance violations, save about 300 hours a year in man time from a labor standpoint, and you can see the energy savings just by having centralized data. And then it gives us the ability to automate a lot of manual tasks. So I know there's another example where data is written down on a piece of paper and then transferred to Excel and then transferred into a master file. I know my 3 looks like a 6, could look like a 5 to somebody, so eliminating those transcription errors and automating that. So again, it's a caveat and a complement to SCADA, so we can pull data from SCADA. And then a lot of our benchtop equipment that is utilized at water and wastewater today has the ability to connect directly into the software for a seamless interface. So actually data can be pulled automatically once an analyst runs a sample in a lab. And you can see here how it complements SCADA, pulling data from SCADA tags. I believe you guys run a GE iFix system. So again, it's going to bring data from SCADA into the software. And then it's got all the built-in reporting tabs that are known, similar reports that you all report data to the IDEM or EPA. They look the same, just in a database software. Again, here's another example of some more case studies from another utility. I won't get into reading those. There is copies you all can read yourself to see that. And it gives you the ability, again, to plan, do, and check to continuously improve current operations. So once the data is in place, you have visual items, visual mechanics, KPIs to track to maintain performance at water and wastewater to make sure the product is what you guys want from a quality standpoint to your end users. Here's just a snapshot of what a KPI dashboard looks like from a particular wastewater plant. You can get into certain KPIs based on what the utility wants to do, but you can track based on a dial approach, color indications, whatever you all want. It's customizable to what you want. You can see there's another case study provided, greater than 20K in reduction in chemical spend based on just real-time analysis of the information in the data. And in summary, with the issues that the municipal market faces with budgets shrinking, regulations getting tighter and tighter, our valuable employees that are earning the right to retire, what are we going to do with that backfill? So the WIMS system is designed to be a bridge to bring all that together to help make sure you're meeting regulations, on time, give you the ability to reduce budgets potentially from an operational standpoint, and then capture all that aging workforce information and logbooks, et cetera. And that's all I have from home. Any questions?
I'd like to see some additional information from some other surrounding utilities and cities before we invest this kind of money. Is that possible?
Sure. What kind of information would you like to see?
Just a review from them on what they're doing and how they perceive this software.
Sure. Would you like me to give you contacts from there? How would you like that process to look?
I think that just a general overview, maybe via email would be fine.
Sure. Somebody comparable size to the utility size of Lebanon, or?
Right.
Okay, sure.
Any other questions for Hach or Ryan?
One thing I did forget to add, we did check with Sondi Solutions, who is our IT contractor, and we do have the ability to host this ourselves. Everything is compatible with that, and they have no problem with us hosting that in-house, because there are options, but over the long term, the less expensive option is for us to host that internally. So Costa from Sandy had no problem with any of the technical issues. I don't know what those are, but he said, he gave me the thumbs up basically on all the technical issues that might occur from that.
Any additional cost to the utilities for that?
For hosting it internally?
Right, yeah.
No, there would be, on the upfront that there is, but that saves us over the years of paying Hach WIMS, or Hach to support that.
Right.
That we will host that in-house. So basically what I have here is the yearly support contract is $3,134. And that would be split halfway water, halfway wastewater, which would be $1,120. And that's for the yearly subscription and the support from Hach if we would have issues or would have to call. And that is a cheaper number than if we didn't entertain them hosting once Sandy said that we could do it, because over the yearly subscription, it's less expensive for us to do it.
No, so let me make sure I understand. So if we go to this system, we'll end up having to pay Sandy $3,134 more dollars?
No, sir. No, it will be the yearly subscription for Hach is what we would pay. And for their support over the year.
Okay.
On an annual
But that
basis?
that wouldn't go to Sandy. Sandy is managing that for us in-house, just like they
At
manage,
no additional cost?
not through Sandy, no.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is an unbudgeted item. The cost of the initial purchase will be split between the Water 2019 budget capital addition item number 5, facility rehab and other projects, and the wastewater 2019 budget capital addition item number 7, wastewater treatment plant repairs and upgrades. The yearly subscription support would be split between the 2019 budget operating supplies and expense, maintenance agreements, and wastewater 2019 budget operating supplies and expense, maintenance agreements. These yearly costs would be taken into consideration, so it would just be a budget issue every year, and we would just put them into the budget. And it would be, like I said, everything is split equally, so it would be, the total requested budget amount is $64,922, and that would be split between water and wastewater departments.
Can I make a suggestion that, I thought it was a great presentation by Hach, by the way, but I think he had a bunch of references embedded in the presentation, but he didn't have contact information or actual people to reach out to. There's a sense in which I'm a reference already from the different places I've worked. Veolia Water, we added it at every one of our 500 sites. So I think that I would recommend, if it pleases the board, to go ahead and approve it, but we won't pull the trigger until.
Well, I was going to ask Bill, with his comments earlier, Bill, are you comfortable voting on this tonight pending your satisfaction with the additional information you've asked for, or are you hinting at tabling, or what do you think?
I would really like to see some additional information, but I mean, we could go ahead and vote on it, subject to review of the additional information that we receive. Is that all right?
You good with that, Jeff? Or?
It seems to me with the meeting coming up that we're putting ourselves in a position, I'm not sure I guess I would be more comfortable with everybody getting the same information and signing off on it at the same time. So
I'd be more apt to want to review that if we didn't have a pretty solid background with Hach already. Ryan, you said, we use some of their equipment already, correct?
Yeah.
So we have a relationship there.
Yeah, our lab equipment is, I started in 1999. Hach is the only lab equipment that we've used in wastewater. It's the industry standard. I've had a great relationship with Austin for 5-6 years. He's one phone call and 40 minutes away with every phone call. If not, just stopping by and checking on us. And even before this was even a thought, we've always worked with Hach, and all our equipment had nothing but great results.
Well, the only reason I bring that up is because we do not have a competitive bid. and it's a lot of money, so I thought, well, if we could get some input from some local utilities and city to review it, and then we could all collectively vote on it.
Yeah, whatever you, it's,
Ed, if I could ask, and I hear what you're saying, Bill, but you've worked in this business a long time, water, wastewater, that's your real area of expertise.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do you have any experience with other, I mean, who else would you talk to?
Well, I was the one that brought up Hach WIMS, and there's really no one else to talk to. Hach WIMS was developed by Hach, and I think they worked with either United Water or Veolia or some combination of those two to come up with this product many years ago. And it's been the industry standard. It's a little bit like Windows is to a PC. The only place I've been to that didn't use it, that was a large company, was a small plant I ran in southern Indiana for drinking water, and they developed their own in-house tool with a spreadsheet, but they eventually went to this after I left. And
okay.
It's the industry standard. It's real helpful in troubleshooting, and I guess my concern is I don't know who else we'd ask. Or what they'd say. You said generally another utility. If you go to a small utility that doesn't have a complicated plant and doesn't have the growth we have and the industry we have, they might not have anything and just be doing it by hand.
Let me ask you that. Let's take Zionsville, Carmel, Whitestown. I mean, what are they using?
I did reach out to Citizens, and Citizens does use this for water and wastewater.
They do?
They do.
Yeah, Citizens uses it.
They absolutely do, yeah. Kindleville is a size-wise comparable to us as far as their gallons per day, and they also use Hach WIMS. From what I gathered, I did call. I called. I've gotten quite a few contacts. I did call. The information I got was either they use Hach WIMS or they do their data collecting in-house. I did not find from the Danville, Westfield, the contacts that I reached out to, I didn't find anybody that says, we use this. And we do ours in-house. It's just pretty rudimentary. And we also use SCADA. We take advantage of our SCADA system, but it is also, it's pretty rough data. So that the information I got from other my contacts in the industry were, we have Hach WIMS or we do it in-house. I could not find any comparable, because I knew that would be a concern of mine also.
Right.
Why, if there's competition, I want to find out what it is, because I want the best options for the utilities as a ratepayer. So that was a concern of mine, that I couldn't find it. But then when I started talking to the people who use it and talked to Austin, we had a couple of phone conversations. This has been ongoing since Ed and I started in our positions, probably a week. And just so I could get some fact finding, some data finding to make sure we weren't pulling the trigger too soon, or there wasn't a competition out there that I'm not aware of in this industry. And like I said, I've been in the water treatment since '99 in the lab. And so any data collecting that I've looked for, I've always done the research on, because the numbers don't lie. I'm a numbers guy, and the more numbers you have and the more data you have, and not only is it a concern with the employees retiring, but when you have new employees coming in, for them to be able to utilize a computer and get data without me having to show them how to find it in our drawers or a filing cabinet, for them to be able to pull that data up on their own will speed up the training process also, which is a huge deal when you're in this industry, because it's a difficult process.
I know we've used contractors on other projects that we're less familiar with than Hach. So Aaron, you or Jim have any input on this?
No, I think it'd be a good idea just to streamline the data entry.
I have a question for legal counsel. Since we don't have another quote, what is your position?
Well, two things. First, we do have a couple of document issues on the licensing that I'd thrown out to Ryan. I don't think we've worked through quite yet, that the recommended motion does have a couple of open items on the contracts with Hach. But that having been said, if there's no, the justification for not obtaining quotes under our policy or additional quotes is when there is a unique product and there's some inability to do that. In this instance, we've heard in the working session and today, there is not a competitor that provides a similar service. So you're physically, or you're just not able to go out there and get a competitive pricing on a similar type of software, which is not unheard of in the software industry, like the Microsoft
Right.
example that was given, or the Windows example. So I will tell you, we're, even with a motion today, we do have a couple of open items still that we wouldn't be signing a contract tomorrow. I don't know if that impacts.
So this motion's pending some things you still have to review?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, can I put Austin or the Hach team on the spot? And can I ask you guys if you have any competitors? Can you address that question from your perspective?
I'm happy to address that
answer would
competitive
be no.
question. While there are softwares available, they are not purpose-built for this, and more importantly, the utility uses Hach spectrophotometers, Hach's HQ40 BOD meters, and other Hach equipment. And Hach's WIMS program for data management is the only solution that has a native interface to those systems. So in that respect, there is no other solution that could be used unless you intended to swap out your instrumentation as well.
So what you're saying is this software is compatible with equipment we already have?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I guess if Hach is Coke, who's Pepsi? There is no Pepsi that I know of, so.
There is no Pepsi, there is no other system that is the equivalent of this solution.
So we are locked into this software.
If you want a data management system to support your existing instrumentation to fulfill the functionality that's been described, yes, this is your only option.
I think it sounds like we either do this in-house ourselves, continue to do it in-house, or we go with a company like Hach that are experts. I mean, if we choose to stay in-house, that's a choice we make, but it doesn't sound like there's somebody out there we're missing, right?
Yeah, and that option doesn't sound healthy for the organization. It really doesn't. Considering as Ryan pointed out, the retirees that are coming up, the new hires that are coming in, this is a tool that'll transfer that information without the personnel component.
Yeah, and Vanessa's in the audience. I'm not going to put her on the spot at the microphone, but if she were to win the lottery, I don't know if she buys lottery tickets, probably not, but assuming she bought lottery tickets and won the lottery and moved to South America or something, we wouldn't have, we would really struggle as far as where this data is housed and how to get to it. And one of the advantages, I'm not sure we mentioned, is all this would be on the cloud that anyone could access on our team anywhere. It's like an asset management solution. It's similar to doing SCADA for our valves and everything else, so.
Aaron, do you have anything to say? You always have something to say, so
Well, if we wanted to delay this approval, we'd have to have a motion to table it to the next meeting. And from what I've heard here, I'm satisfied with the way things are, and I would vote against that motion.
You would not vote for a motion to table, is that what you say?
I would vote against a motion to table,
Okay.
because I'm satisfied
Yeah.
that this will help with our efficiency and that it's a good product from a reputable company.
And don't get me wrong, $64,000 is a lot of money, and we should always watch what we're spending and what we're spending it on, but I think this is good technology advancement. So I'm not voting, but I'll entertain any motion that someone wants to bring up, whether it's table or whether it's to move forward. So if there's no other questions.
I'd make a motion to approve the quote from Hach for the Water Information Management Solution software in the amount of $64,992, authorizing general manager to sign the corresponding purchase order. The amount will be split between the 2019 water capital budget additional line item 5, facility rehab, and the 2019 wastewater capital addition budget addition line 7, wastewater WWTP repairs and upgrades. I move to amend the capital budget to reflect these changes.
I would second that motion.
Now, there's another component to that. Does that need to be done in a separate motion?
It does not be.
Okay, so then can I then modify that? Thank you, Jim. I apologize. I further move to approve the IMS yearly support contract for an annual not to exceed amount of $3,134, and the Colors Collection yearly subscription for an annual not to exceed amount of $1,120, and authorize the Water Wastewater Operations Manager to sign the pertinent documents after language approved from Legal Counsel Jeff Jacob. These fees will be split between the Water 2019 budget operating supplies and expense, maintenance agreements, and wastewater 2019 budget operating supplies and expense maintenance agreements. I further move to amend the capital budget to reflect these changes.
Second.
Okay, I have a long motion by Dan. Good job. Second by Jim, to approve the Hach WIMS IT network for the water departments. Any other discussion, questions?
I can't vote for it.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Good discussion. Appreciate the presentation. Ryan, real quick, while you're still up there, I don't think you're coming back. I just wanted to mention quickly, not to put you on the spot, but I noticed that in our last invoice, customer statement that included in there was the annual water quality report.
Yes, sir.
Looked like, as always, our water quality is very good, and didn't know if you had 30 seconds of anything to add to that.
Yeah, that is a Indiana Department of Environmental Management and the EPA. That is a federal regulation that we send that out every year. That is sent out in all the bills. It is always online. We actually take it to hotels, because if anyone sometimes infants have some issues with certain chemicals or certain characteristics of drinking water. So people that are traveling, we always take it to every hotel, take it to the hospital, library, post office, general, but it is always online also. And yeah, the numbers were average, which is what you want. Nothing too high, nothing too low. We met all our parameters, and it was a good water quality report. Vanessa and the water crew worked very hard on that. That report is a large undertaking. That data isn't just a yearly average. There's a lot of running averages, because in case there's an anomaly in the year, they want to continue to collect that data. So it is very detailed, very tedious. Actually, the Hach WIMS will help generate that report and make that a much more smooth line process also. Just one of the other advantages of it. But Vanessa did a fantastic job. And I would encourage people to get on the website and to check that out. There's a lot of facts on there. There's numbers on there, but there's also facts about how much water we pump, our daily average, how we get our water, the treatment process. So there's also quite a bit of information on that paper.
Also, I found a data point or two that just reading the report made me frown a little bit. So I called Ryan up, and we had a very thorough 30 to 45-minute discussion where he explained what was what and where that frown didn't need to be there. So I appreciated that.
And you're still drinking the water, so.
There is, some of the numbers can be misleading. They have a range on like our lead and copper samples, for instance. Those are done every 3 years. There's a lot of parameters of how we get those. And you take the 90th percentile. So if one number is above the maximum limit, that doesn't disqualify you from the sampling, because it's the 30 samples. So one number was, and you know, Aaron pointed it out, so I explained to him the process. And the 30 samples that we do get, we do notify them by letter whether their water was satisfactory or unsatisfactory. And that is a part of our ongoing lead and copper initiative as far as removing lead lines in the water system. So that's good information to have. And actually, I believe next year is we are ready to do another round of lead and copper samples. It's every 3 years. We do 30 samples every 3 years. They're very difficult to get. You have to rely on the homeowner to do that. You can't have a water softener. You can't use the water for 12 hours, period. No restrooms, no anything. And then they have to grab a sample right away, either first thing in the morning or 12 hours after they leave. And to ensure the accuracy on that and to get people who don't have water softeners to do it with water lines that are a certain year old, that can't be a new house, is very time consuming and very difficult for our staff. So it's a lot, because you have to do it in between, I believe that these months may not be right, but like May to September. So you can't, it's not a year process. So the window on that is very truncated. It's a very difficult process. So luckily it's only every 3 years.
And that number that was out of line that I inquired about was because the sampler dropped a sample.
Yes.
So the way we ended up phrasing that is that there was a turnover that occurred in the ball game, but that we won the ball game.
Yeah, that was a bacteria sample. We had one a bacteria sample that came back as a, and when I say a positive, there was an indication that there could be bacteria in the water. Now, the fecal all came back negative. We've always had that. It was myself that did it, and so Aaron, I had to tell the truth to Aaron. I dropped the lid, and the test is that sensitive. I put the lid back on, and it failed. All that does is tell you, hey, it gives you a red flag that you need to resample. So when that happens, it's quite a long process. You resample at that spot, the item approved spot. You have to resample upstream and downstream within 5 service connections, and then you have to sample every single well that we have in the entire water system, and then the subsequent samples all came back negative. So that's how you know that it was an operator failure. If something were to come back positive, if it was a well, you would take it offline, get it treated, get it fixed. If it was one of those samples, then you would do further investigation and further sampling. So it's a awful process, so you have to take it very seriously. And of course, Aaron had to call on the one mistake. I only made one mistake all last year, and luckily he's the one that found it, so we had a good
And
conversation.
the reason I brought it up is I was very impressed with the education I obtained about how we do our water sampling and the thoroughness of it, and I ended up being very impressed.
Okay.
Good stuff.
I'd like to add on to that, good job, Ryan, but also, you didn't necessarily make a mistake. The way they designed this coliform test is they want it to fail safe. So that means once every 500 tests, you're going to get a false positive. So it may have just been a false positive. Where you get worried is that when you do the second test for fecal and that wasn't positive.
Right.
But
So, yeah, false positive is way better than me taking the blame for it, so let's go with that. That's fine.
But yeah, no, I want to bridge on to what Aaron was saying about education and your customer competence report. It is a very tedious report, but that's by design. The state mandates it have certain things in a certain way, and it's not very, very good at educating the public. I mean, it doesn't fit its need as far as I'm concerned. It fits a state need, but I really wish everyone was like Mr. Smith and called and asked a question, but I would gather he's probably the only one you're on the phone with for 40 minutes talking about it. So
Always.
Later, well, no, it's not. That's a good thing. But later on in I'm on the agenda for talking about the website redesign, and one of the things that Ryan and I have talked about is maybe when we're doing this consumer conference report, we would do some version of it, a web version that is a short video. Perhaps it has instead of the actual numbers, it has a green light, yellow light, red light kind of thing, like we've done other places, and just sort of explain it to the public. So because we really do a good job treating the water, and we really know what we're doing, and we don't necessarily do the best job telling people. So that's kind of what I was going to talk a little bit about later. So I just thought the opportunity to interject there.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Yeah, didn't mean to delay anything, but thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. All right, we'll move to the next item. Mr. Greeno will be discussing the Helebo trenching invoice.
Good evening, everyone. I have a board approval request pertaining to the Riley Ridge subdivision. At the time when this subdivision started, we did not feel that we had equipment or expertise to perform the trenching needs for the Riley Ridge subdivision. So I had asked Helebo Trenching to provide boring and trenching services for the Riley Ridge subdivision. This work is budgeted on line number 4 of the capital budget. This work was estimated to be within the approval limit of the general manager, but however, due to an oversight in the price given, it came in higher than expected. So I am recommending that by the way of IC code 36-1-4-16, the ratification of actions of officers or employees, approval be given for the payment of $20,588.18 to Helebo Trenching.
Thanks, Jeff. I know we talked earlier, just briefly, this is a, roughly 80 home subdivision. So fairly large. The weather, all the rain we had, made conditions pretty tough. You mentioned that our equipment trencher, older, and would have taken us possibly up to 3 months to do the work, and Helebo was able to do that in about 3 weeks. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that it was a save in time there, and due to the conditions and equipment, that's the reason that it was done. So. Any other questions for Jeff? All right, if not, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to, by way of Indiana Code 36-1-4-16, ratification of actions of officer or employees, approval be given for the payment of $20,588 to Helebo Trenching.
Second?
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Dan to approve the Helebo Trenching invoice in the amount of $20,588. Any other discussion?
I'd just like to notice here that in the future, when we anticipate subbing out the trenching, that there will be bids obtained beforehand when we determine beforehand that it makes sense to sub it out. Is that correct?
Yes. This was an oversight on my part.
I'm not questioning the decision that was made here.
Yep.
And that the decision would have been any different if we'd gotten quotes. I just want to make sure that I understand how things are going to operate going
Yeah, that would be
forward.
the normal process. We were just short on time, and Jeff was brand new in his role.
Weather-related, and
Yeah.
I don't think you could have done anything.
Well, and you're familiar.
They had to have a bulldozer actually pull the
Right.
trencher to even trench the
Yeah, I
ground
think,
there.
I think it's justified.
And you're familiar with Helebo, correct? We've used them before?
Yes, we've
Yeah.
used Helebo on several different projects.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I had a motion by Jim, seconded by Dan. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Jeff.
All right, thank you.
All right, item 6. I want to give a second here to make sure we've got everything set up that we need. But item 6 is the website redesign, and,
Oh, no, we have
or,
a...
I'm sorry, we got something before 6?
Yeah, we got an informational presentation
yeah.
on customer service, so...
Okay, let's
And
jump to
what-
that first, and then we'll be ready to go. That's, is that the,
Well,
Is that what you added?
It's not an action, so therefore it's on the agenda.
yeah, I kind of needed to do the customer service one first, because I have some videos I'm going to show.
let's do that,
But
then,
I will set up the customer service. We're periodically going to do informational presentations on different departments, but the reason I picked customer service this time is between the last board meeting and this one, we had a few citizen complaints on our policy for late fees, so I thought it'd be good to just have one of our staff, Danielle Butts, go over our policies on that, make sure the board's informed on what we're doing, and I think we're doing good, but I just want, she does a great presentation, I figure I'll just let her explain it. So.
perfect, you all set?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay,
Okay,
Okay, I'm Danielle. I'm one of your customer service reps downstairs. So I'm just going to do kind of our basics, stuff that we do. So for customers that come in, any of them, they have multiple ways of making payments. They can come in our office. They can do cash, check, money order, credit card, or debit card, and that's what I take. External payments, they can drop things off. They can use the mail. They can do our drop box that's out front. They can do direct payment where it automatically come out of their bank account. They can use our automated system on the phone, or they can go on the website and use their login that way.
See, how does that direct payment work?
So you set it up with us. There's a form, the direct payment application. You can either provide a debit card or a credit card, and then or you can use your checking account. If you use your checking account, you need to provide a voided check, and then we'll get you set up, and it'll automatically come out of your account every due date.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Danielle, pull your mic closer.
Sorry. Our drop box is located on the northwest corner. I think you guys have seen it. We pick it up every day at 7:30. So any payments that go after that, we'll get that following morning. Here's our late fees. Payments for the utility services are due on the same date of each month. Bills paid after this date will incur late charges on the first business day after the due date. Customers are going to be responsible for all of those. They all know their due date. They need to make sure they get it paid. If you are moving to Lebanon, so if you are purchasing a property, like in our Riley Ridge subdivision, those customers will need to bring in a service agreement and then their ID. If they're renting a property, they'll need to bring in both of those and then either the lease agreement or the transfer form. The reason that we have those two things for renters is that gives them permission to be at a landlord property. Obviously, you don't want somebody who's not supposed to be there. This is basically a diagram. We've been keeping a daily report. So I run reports every day that show how many tasks we do in a day. Obviously, we take a lot of phone calls throughout the week, secondaries, payments, and you also can see on there the amount of disconnects and then the corresponding reconnects that we do as well.
Is this an average or a recent week or
So
this particular chart?
Yeah, this is June.
Okay.
This is the June month. So on there, you'll see our disconnect policy. If a customer's bill is not paid, a second month's bill is going to be sent, listing any of the new charges on there. The past due account balance and the disconnect notice is going to be in red. The second month's bill will provide you with a notice that they are subject to disconnection by a specific date. We may send out courtesy phone calls. Those usually go out 2 nights before and then the night before the day of disconnection. Further upon being disconnected, you'll have non-payment fees. That is usually $40 for water and $40 for electric. But before that, customers are eligible to sign pay agreements. That gives people a little bit more time to get to that next payday, gives them a little bit more time so they can avoid that disconnects and getting those fees.
See, can you make a customer service agreement yourself, or does someone have to approve?
So the pay agreements must be signed in office. That just makes it so we can give them the specific date. So on a week of disconnection, if your utilities were up for disconnection, say tomorrow, because we do them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would give you out until this Friday. That usually gets people to a payday. Same thing if you're up for disconnection on Tuesday, you have out until that Friday.
So you have the authority yourself to make that decision? That was my question.
For me, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I go with the customer and do it for them. This is over the last 8 years of how many disconnects we do per year. So you can see that we started going down and then we have it a little bit up and we're going back down, so that's pretty good. Is there any other questions for me?
Hey, Danielle, great job. Just to clarify one thing, the drop box out in the parking lot, those payments are collected 7:30 a.m. or p.m.?
AM, sorry.
7:30 a.m., okay. So you guys will process any payments that are in there that morning. Anything after that doesn't get picked up till the following morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, would you go back to that disconnect slide?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me take a moment and look at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Danielle. Appreciate it.
Well, Danielle, stay there a minute and show the next slide, please, because, I'm sorry, can we roll into the
Website? Or the?
website?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
roll right into,
Let's just go into it. Go ahead.
item
Yeah.
6 is the website design, and Ed's gonna touch on that.
Yeah, apologies, it's just that Danielle's helping me, and I didn't
Yeah.
mean to, But anyway, I thought Danielle did a great presentation, but one way to get this information out to the public would be to have this video either individually clipped from the board meeting or taken just for the purpose of communicating to people on the web and having it out there and being content for our website. Our website hasn't been redesigned in a number of years, and it needs to update it. And one thing on the agenda is we're going to work with DevLab to update our website pending board approval. We did seek other quotes. We worked with 3 other vendors, and we got a quote from one of them. One of them didn't provide information, but we think we got the best vendor. And Danielle, if you could show the next slide.
Yep.
And yeah, this is one of the videos they did for us.
Hang on,
Can we get sound or?
hang on just a second.
I'll set this up. I had them work with 2 of our local movie stars, Ryan Ottinger and Jeff Greeno, and this is going to be content on the website eventually. And this was all done by DevLab as part of the agreement we're looking at with, and they have a drone in order to take videos and put this information out there. And I just wish we could have done this before some of our big projects started, because it would really help with public communications.
I'll mention too, Chad Purdue's here. He's owner of DevLab. Him and Tiffany are, his wife Tiffany are residents of Lebanon and own a small business here. And so Chad's been very responsive to any questions we've had.
Okay.
The project that the other construction outfit is working on, called the
Yeah, it's
South Loop, is part of a new external 69 kV line they're building to attach to our internal 69 kV loop. It is a transmission line. It is the transmission voltage that feeds our substations. It comes in at 69,000 volts into a substation, and our substation drops it down to 12,470 volts for distribution. Right now, we only have one feed into the city of Lebanon for our internal loop. We have one external source. With this new line they're building, we will have 2. So in an event we would lose one, we would have a backup 69 kV line to feed our substations and keep people in power. To complete the second external feed into our internal loop, we look for a projected finish date of middle of summer, early fall timeframe.
We have another one. Did you guys like that? Is that
Yeah.
pretty good?
Sure. That's, I assume that's drone footage, correct?
Oh, is it?
Okay. And I hope so. I'd like to think he was up,
He can't fly that.
Helicopter might be.
We're doing a wastewater treatment plant expansion. There's a few different purposes to this expansion. One is to increase our capacity and the efficiency. The capacity is necessary for any new industrial park businesses that will come in. It's also necessary for upgrading and the renovation of downtown, the continued renovation of downtown to improve the wastewater flow. It's also necessary for any new housing additions. So it is imperative for the future of the city that we go ahead and make this expansion now, so we don't have to turn away any prospective businesses, any prospective jobs, or any housing developments. We're adding a anaerobic tank, which is new to our wastewater treatment plant. This basically will bring in wastewater that has bacteria in it, and we will take the oxygen out of the wastewater. And in doing so, this will allow the bugs to eat phosphorus. When I say bugs, I mean bacteria in the water, to eat the phosphorus and do phosphorus removal. Then that water will be transferred into our oxidation ditches, where oxygen is now added, and the bugs will become hungrier and be in a frenzy and start the process all over again. We have certain elements from wastewater that we have to remove before it is allowed to go back into Prairie Creek. When it goes back into Prairie Creek, it is as clean or cleaner than the drinking water that comes into people's houses. So it is a long and expensive process to remove all the waste, all the solids, and all that's monitored by IDEM. We have permits, and we have a full state-of-the-art lab that does all the testing throughout the day, hundreds and hundreds of tests a day, to ensure that we meet IDEM specifications. We just recently finished a centrifuge project that was finished late 2018, early 2019. And basically what that does is it separates the liquids from the solids and the waste, all computer driven, all automated. It allows us to get rid of the solids, but this centrifuge project has taken our cost from hauling it down. Since it's now dry, it has decreased the cost by about 70 to 75%. This project is almost an 18-month ongoing project. It just started, and it is scheduled to be finished in August of 2020. Like I said, is much needed project to increase our capacity by about 1.5 million gallons a day.
Okay, well, in general, the way the world's going with the website stuff is, especially if you look at my children, is people don't read anymore, they watch short videos. So we're trying to upgrade the website to be what our community looks for. So I think a short video of Danielle talking about customer service, Ryan talking about water, just all of that information out there is really going to help with our public relations and community engagement and working with the city and our other stakeholders. So we talked a lot about this in our working session. Does anyone have any questions or anything I haven't covered?
It's great videos.
And Chad's in the audience if you have any questions for him. So.
Good job.
All right.
So we plan to do a dozen of those videos every year at the current time?
That's the plan right now, yes. I couldn't tell you what we're going to do each month, but as you just saw the videos, we've shown our construction projects that are going to be stale a year from now because some of the projects are going to be done. We have other things to show, and there might be some other things.
And that's part of the contract price?
Yeah.
All right, any questions for Ed or Chad or any other discussion? All right, I would entertain a motion on the website proposal.
I make a motion that we approve the quote from the Lab Creative for $27,900 to provide website design, video production, and social media marketing.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Dan to approve the website redesign. Any other discussion, questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Ed. Thanks, Chad.
I will say one thing, that the city's very pleased with their website. I think you're doing a good job, Chad.
All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of claims. Anybody have any questions on the claims?
I have to abstain. My wife got a refund check for a property that we had sold, investment property, so I'm
Okay.
assuming that it was $300 some. So
Dan's abstaining. Any other questions on the claims? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve those.
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Jim to approve the claims. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Dan abstaining. Thank you, guys.
I really wanted to say aye, but
Next item is some recognition of certifications from the Water Department. This is an information item.
You've got the old one.
Got the old one? Okay. We'll move on to any other business that anyone has to bring before the board. With that, any public comment that anyone might have, questions from the public? Anything else tonight before we adjourn? Our next board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, July 24th at 5 p.m. And if there's nothing else for the Go to the order tonight, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Jim to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, everyone.